Hey everybody, this is Marcus. We're going to do an Easter egg breakdown of Ant-Man the Wasp Quantumania with new rock stars. And like I said, Ant-Man the Wasp Quantumania is by far my favorite film. It was so awesome, not to mention the end credit scenes where we actually did get a chance to see the councils of Kang, Immortus, Ramatut, and the Scarlet Centurion, the rest of the other Kang variants as well. So it's definitely an awesome film. It's definitely setting up the Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars, of course dealing with incursions. And then on top of that, it's already setting up to where Kang is going to be a major threat in the MCU because he's already a major threat in the Marvel Universe as well, though, especially since his first appearance in 1964. So, other than that, I'm definitely excited for what Kang has in store in the future. Jonathan Majors kills it as Kang. He's an incredible actor, and I cannot wait to see how he's going to portray the different other variants of Kang in the far future. So especially with the second season of Loki coming up as well. But without further ado, we're going to go ahead and check out the trailer, you guys. Before I get started, thank you guys so much for your support. And for those who are new to my channel, can you do me a solid? Make sure you like this video, share this video, subscribe to my channel, and make sure you hit that bell to enable notifications whenever I drop a video. And we're going to always keep this thing rolling, you guys. So, without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get right into it. Also, make sure you guys subscribe to the new rock stars as well. They're awesome, especially the team of Eric Voss, Jessica Clemens, MT. Those guys are amazing with their Easter egg breakdowns of everything that's pertaining to superhero films. They're awesome. So we're going to go and listen to Eric Voss because he's doing the leader of the episodes. So without further ado, let's get right into it.
Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Eric Voss, and this is a breakdown of all the Easter eggs and details you missed in Marvel's Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. This breakdown is brought to you by our good neighbors over at State Farm.
The good neighbors, State Farm is there.
Marvel Studios fanfare includes, for the first time, an MCU villain. He remains.
Oh yeah, we caught that one actually. Yeah, we caught that one, especially when He Who Remains, the first time a villain actually shows up in the Marvel fanfare, because it mostly contains all the heroes. But this is the first time we actually do see the villain there. So, if anything, it's definitely setting up to where Kang's going to be a major threat. I wouldn't be surprised when the Kang Dynasty drops. Like, the Marvel fanfare is going to have all the Kang variants and the Marvel logo. Just saying.
As this movie places his throne room atop an A-shaped tower, and he has a history of dominating other countless Avengers. And in the post-credit scene, there is a glimpse of his corporate variant, Mr. Gryphon, who I believe currently sits atop Avengers Tower, renamed King Tower. Then again, He Who Remains was relatively an MCU hero compared to his variant, Kang the Conqueror, in this film. This prologue scene shows his arrival in the quantum realm when he was banished by the Kang Dynasty for starting the same multiversal war that He Who Remains alluded to.
Not every version of me will set you apart. New world meant only one thing. New land being conquered. The peace between realities erupted. Each variant fighting to preserve their universe and annihilate the others.
You can see three pieces breaking off of Kang's ship as it arrives in this atmosphere, perhaps representing the three Kangs who led his betrayal and sabotaged his ship. There may actually be a connection between the three timekeepers and the mysterious fourth broken timekeeper statue, a statue that represents, perhaps, this exiled Kang. Now remember, Janet Van Dyne had been stuck in the quantum realm since she shrunk between atoms to disable a rogue ICBM in 1987. Now to clear up this frequently asked question, Janet aged normally over the 30 years in the quantum realm, while Scott time dilated, aging only 5 hours over 5 years of our time, because Scott fell into a time vortex while Janet did not. Janet just stayed in the normal quantum realm that entire time. Remember, Janet's line in the 2018 film's post-credit scene indicated that time vortexes were separate things within that broader quantum realm.
And don't get sucked into a time vortex. We won't be able to save you.
Now, it isn't specified, but the camera does linger on one of those big vortexes in the sky, and that might actually be one of the time vortexes that Scott slipped through, and one of the ones that the Avengers later navigated to go back in time in Avengers Endgame. But this opening gives us a scenario in which the roots of Phase 5 and the Multiverse Saga begin with two old-school characters. Janet Van Dyne Wasp was one of the original Avengers in the 60s comics, and Kang was one of the OG Avengers villains, the time-traveling villain from the 1960s comics, who was later retconned to be the same entity as several other time-centric villains. Immortus, Ramatut, Scarlet Centurion, Victor Timely, even the hero Iron Lad. We're gonna meet all of them pretty soon. Kang and Janet save each other, and we don't see Kang again for, another 46 minutes, despite everyone in the movie talking about him in every scene. That's okay. Again, we're gonna spend a lot Scott Lang's opening montage is set to John Sebastian's theme song for the sitcom Welcome Back, Kotter.
Welcome Back, Kotter, yep.
Welcome back, welcome back.
I love that song.
Back to the 2018 Ant-Man the Wasp, having an opening montage set to Come On Get Happy.
Yep.
A theme song for another sitcom.
Partridge Family.
Scott's
Yep.
opening narration references time traveling with Captain America and Endgame, and how that did make sense. Though in Loki, we learned that was something the Kang variant he remains wanted them to do.
What they did was supposed to happen. You escaping was not.
FBI agent Jimmy Woo, Randall Park makes a cameo. He and Scott finally
Jimmy
get that
Woo,
lunch
yep.
date.
So now you were inviting me somewhere, like a party or dinner or something?
I don't know. I thought you were at that plan of the evening.
No, that's like the rest of you.
No,
I'll
the
arrest
rest
you later. Yeah, take it easy. Okay. Did you want to grab dinner or something? I mean,
Come on. I love how Scott does a sleight of hand to conjure
Yeah.
the credit card, something that Jimmy Woo was fascinated and Scott
Jimmy Woo's hilarious.
We saw on WandaVision how Jimmy picked up Scott's close-up magic hobby. Scott gets toasted by
He's like Coulson from S.H.I.E.L.D.
Scott, I've actually guested with Ryan on his channel Watcher. I love that channel. I love the whole team over there. And this makes me so close to being MCU canon. Kevin just called me. You know it would make my life. Scott's old Baskin Robbins.
I want to be in a cameo too.
2015 film. Now he awards Scott Employee of the Century using his old company photo. And he kept Scott's pink apron and his name tag Jack, which in the 2015 film Paul Rudd picked out to shout out his son, Jack. And this goofy award is also kind of a running gag with Cassie giving Scott a World's Greatest Grandma trophy in the previous film. Now, Quantumania is the 31st movie in the MCU, which is a nice bit of coincidence with the 31 flavors of our beloved Baskin Robbins. Scott visits
What are the odds?
donuts, with all the donuts overpriced at $3.50 per, very typical of San Francisco, and all the different donuts are themed around San Francisco things. The Embarcadero, Summer Love, Hate, Presidio, Pier 39, Golden Gate, and the Candlestick. A detail that I screwed up in one of my trailer breakdowns. Like, I'm sorry, I now know the Giants don't currently play there. I've only lived in the city for a year. Please don't kick me out of it. I like the parks. Now, the cafe owner is played by
Eric
actor
Voss.
Rabasa, who actually played a balloon vendor, Mr. Cardazzo, in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 2, Episode 12,
Yep.
and a hilarious character in I Think You Should Leave.
any other ideas?
Stinky.
What?
Here he says,
Thank you, Spider-Man.
He's
Really
hilarious.
fair mix-up, considering after that memory wipe with Doctor Strange, no one remembers that Spider-Man is Peter Parker. Hope Van Dyne now runs the Pim Van Dyne Foundation.
I want to talk about that though, the Spider-Man theory.
Expanding public housing, food production.
I'll get to that in a second.
Parades on his book tour, which was actually teased in Black Panther: Wakanda Forever and in Ms. Marvel when we saw Scott was doing a lot of press tours, like his appearance on the This Powered Life podcast.
Yep.
Scott has to pick up Cassie from jail. Cassie now played by Catherine Newton. Jail is where Scott began his journey in the 2015 film. But Cassie is really taken off both Ant-Mans, including Hank Pym. He kept a shrunken Soviet tank on his keychain, and now we see she shrunk a cop car. On the drive home, Cassie says she protested the city clearing a homeless encampment of people who had lost their homes in the blip, referring to the people who dusted back to find their homes occupied, creating a giant housing crisis. Cassie also says,
A guy dressed like a bee tried to kill me in my room when I was 6. I've never had it in my life.
yes, of course, setting up the return of Darren Cross in this movie as MODOK. Scott plays a clip from his audiobook.
In that moment, all I could think was, how did the Hulk turn me into a baby? Will I be a baby forever? Am I the Hulk's baby? A little after that, a raccoon from space showed up. I don't think he knew my name. I was just happy to be a raccoon. Oh.
Yes, obviously more nods to Endgame, of course meeting
Yeah.
Rocket, and that interesting
Endgame.
moment where their failed time travel experiments resulted in Scott being stuck in the body of a baby.
Baby,
Which
yep.
reminds us of how the Avengers accidentally invented a kind of immortality, or at least slow aging, which does become important in this movie when their
Yep.
super intelligent ants age 1,000 years in a single day. Over dinner, Cassie reminds Scott that he got in trouble for getting back at VistaCorp. That was the company that Scott used to work for, the company that was screwing over its customers. Scott tried to get back at them and then ended up in prison over it. She also
Yeah.
brings up how Scott went to Germany to fight Captain America in Civil War. Scott corrects her, saying that he fought with Cap alongside Cap since he was on Team Cap.
Team Cap,
He
yep.
uses old school pin particles to enlarge a pizza, and in his ear, we see that he has a hearing aid, setting up
Yep.
his frequency entangling with these ants throughout the movie. Peyton Reed confirmed that this pizza enlargement is a nod to the pizza hydration scene in Back to the Future.
To the Back to the Future
When we enter the
references.
basement lab, right away are a ton of visual clues pointing to Cassie and Hank
Yeah.
having geeked out over both ants and technology. Cassie's quantum satellite device is a silver and bronze color like a vintage stereo, reflecting Hank's design influence, and Scott sees their huge ant farm right away and how all the ants inside have helmets and have already built a pretty complex society there. The display screen on the other side of the room has a 3D image of an ant on it, and all over the table are textbooks about ants. Janet is super worried.
You know how dangerous the quantum realm is. We all do, Mom. Nobody's going to the quantum realm.
So Janet went from being pretty okay with Scott going into the quantum realm to collect quantum healing particles at the end of the 2018 film to now being completely terrified that Cassie is even communicating with the quantum realm. So what changed? Well, maybe Janet was fine with risking Scott going down there for just a few seconds to a specific region of the quantum realm that Janet could locate, a place that in her years on the run from Kang, she hid in the surrealist rural parts away from the civilization.
Yeah.
It's also possible that the Avengers, having gotten away with time travel via the quantum realm since then, has reminded Janet that quantum realm-based timeline manipulation is a real thing, and that Kang is still a real threat down there, and they shouldn't risk re-entry again. They shouldn't tempt fate, because as Tony Stark said in Endgame,
You mess with time, it tends to mess back.
so the device activates on its own, but we later learn that it was MODOK hijacking it, and the whole family gets sucked in. Scott bumps into the ant farm right away, proving that these ants got sucked in too, and that they're gonna come back later. The family gets separated, and Scott slaps on the chest piece of his suit. Now, compared to the last time we saw him in Endgame, his suit in the opening sequence of this movie has a different chest piece, and that's because this is a form of portable nanotech that contains the entire suit inside. Showing how
Yeah,
Scott
the outfit's
has
different,
upgraded to
too.
something closer to Stark Tech. And
Yeah.
after Giant Scott
It's a comparison to
catches
Stark
desire,
Tech, too.
I love how she proves she already knows how to work this in her own suit by pressing a button on Scott's glove to shrink them back down. What Cassie thinks is the sun behind Scott has stuttering movement, and they realize it's actually a predator. Scott enlarges to take it out, and then pisses off a paramecium-looking creature, and they're saved by the Freedom Fighters. Meanwhile, Janet explains to Hank
Freedom
how
Fighters.
there's a whole civilization and ecosystem down here, saying you weren't able to look deep enough, not through the void in Subatomica. There are worlds, worlds and worlds. It's a place beyond time and space, and she says,
A secret universe beneath ours.
she's referring to that moment when Hank and Janet left the quantum realm in the 2018 film, and Peyton Reed hid a city in the background. That area with the chaotic visuals must be what Janet was referring to by the void, even though in Loki, the void is a completely different place where he remains vanishes things that he prunes. And then she drops the word Subatomica. Now in the Marvel comics, Subatomica is the name of the solar system that's contained within the microverse that contains all the various different planets that you can visit down there. You can actually read a lot more about Subatomica and its various appearances in the Marvel comics over on the Fandom Marvel database. They always do a really good job curating that info. Scott and Cassie are taken to the Freedom Fighter camp where they have to drink the ooze from Deb, voiced by David Dastmalchian, who played Kurt in the previous films. William Jackson Harper plays the telepath Quaz. Great casting as Chidi from The Good Place, the guy in an afterlife burdened with knowing too much. Katie O'Brien plays their leader, Gentora.
Oh, Katie O'Brien. She's awesome.
She gets a manta ray-like mount.
Cute too.
Communicates with. In the 2018 film, there was a deleted scene in which Janet communicates with a quantum realm creature.
Passing through, we stake no claim.
And when they soar across the quantum realm on this thing's back, they briefly spot a quantum knot outpost, which has a Kang mural on it. Janet leads Hank and Hope to the city of Axia.
That Kang mural's there.
Atomic universe. This changes everything we know about life, evolution, our place in the galaxy. Holy that looks like broccoli.
Yeah, Broccoli Man is voiced by Graham Fox, who is the on-set reader for Crow in Eternals, and then meet up with Janet's old flame Krylar, now Lord Krylar.
Yeah, Lord Krylar.
Now in the comics, Krylar is a sort of one-and-done character from the planet Kai in the Microverse, who shows up just in one comic issue, Incredible Hulk 156. Similarly, this Krylar doesn't last too long in this movie before Hank Pym enlarges a squid creature delicacy that, for whatever reason, doesn't eat Krylar. Really let him off easy there. Krylar reveals that Kang had sent MODOK, mechanized organism designed only for killing, to hunt Scott and Cassie in the Freedom Fighter camp. Now in the comics, MODOK is an AIM technician, George Tarleton, who gets mutated by the Cosmic Cube, but Marvel Studios here has retconned MODOK to be Darren Cross, Corey Stoll's villain Yellow Jacket from the 2015 film. His body parts disproportionately shrunk after he was zipped down to the quantum realm. And as we see, the uncanniest valley in this whole uncanny valley of a film. A montage flashes back to Darren in the 2015 film, his defeat, and now picks back up with his disfigured form in the quantum realm and how Kang restored his body in its creepy little butt. Becomes a source of mockery for the rest of the film. And by the way, a great resource to learn about MODOK is, again, that Marvel database from
Marvel database,
which also curates every single one of
MODOK's
known comic appearances, so you can go read all of them. I do love how he has a heart rate monitor on his chest that later flatlines when he dies, and he has a crystal on his forehead that he used to fire a beam at Scott and detain them for Kang. He remains used Eliath as his lapdog. Kang uses MODOK. Janet finally tells Hope and Hank her history with Kang. She says that Kang's ship could travel the multiverse, and Hank asks, the multiverse as in alternate dimensions, parallel realities? And Janet says, I didn't believe it at first, but it's real, just as we theorized. So Hank and Janet having theorized about the multiverse back in the 80s makes them predecessors to another couple, Wanda and Vision, having some multiverse pillow talk in the past.
What do you know about the multiverse?
Chris had his theories. He believed it was real and dangerous.
Now, much like how Kang agreed to help each other rebuild and reactivate the multiverse engine core of this ship. And we don't know how many of the other Kangs have this kind of technology, but we have to assume that none of them do, or they all do, now that he remains out of the picture, but they have a kind of truce where they're able to check each other's infinite power over the time stream. A kind of mutually assured destruction, making this Kang, Kang the Conqueror, the rogue state of them all. The Kim Jong Kang, the one who didn't play by the rules. Now Janet says his ship was neurokinetic, connected to his thoughts. So when she touched it, she saw his mind and felt what he had done. She says entire worlds, entire timelines gone, like they never existed. This sequence uses the same sacred timeline imagery from Loki, but it shows the actions of this Kang the Conqueror tearing it apart. While we see Kang within a single timeline blasting innocents who flee from him, he's causing so many branched timelines on individual scales that the timeline as a whole cannot take it. So it's not just murder, it's load-bearing murders that destroy the fabric of that timeline. And I love how we see Kang's and the lines on his face illuminating as he slaughters these people. Lines precisely where the scars are on his cheeks now. And I'll go into what those scars are in next week's deep dive into this film on the other channel. So just another reminder to subscribe. Janet, waking up from this nightmare, pauses in fear, and Kang is able to see in her eyes that she knows who he is. She asks, who is Kang? The first time we hear the word Kang in the MCU. And Kang, hearing this question, knows that he has hurt so many people in his life, he just knows what it looks like when the person staring back at him knows what kind of monster he is. And I love that he frames his master plan in just a single word: win. What is Kang's plan? To win. Janet has to disable his core by enlarging it beyond use with PIM discs. So she had these on her the entire time she was in the quantum realm. These are probably rainy day PIM discs that she was hoping she'd be able to use to escape the quantum realm. But this task is more important. Kang must be trapped, even if it means entombing herself with him. Again, this justifies why in the 2018 film, Hank found Janet far away from the city in the distance. She had to exile herself in the far borders of the quantum realm to stay hidden from Kang. And that explains why in the 2015 Ant-Man, Scott saw her shadow projected on the other side of the border of the quantum realm. She was on the far border of it to get as far away from Kang as possible. Meanwhile, Kang in prison introduces himself to Scott and retracts his mask, giving us a close-up look at that neurokinetic overlay and how it clings to his skin perfectly. As it retracts, you can notice briefly diagonal reinforcement lines across his cheeks becoming visible, and the lights on the side of his helmet dim. Kang says he has killed Avengers before, and for the second time in this movie, Scott is confused with the wrong Avenger.
You'll have the one with the hammer. That's Thor. You get confused on similar body types.
Yeah, Kang has specifically killed Thor, which I speculated in the Rockstar's video might have been done right before Thor sparked Vision to life, since Vision and his multiverse mind would pose potentially a pretty major threat to Kang in another timeline. Kang explains that he knows how all of time ends, saying, me, a lot of me, they exiled me down here. They're afraid of me. Which might sound pretty familiar to what his variant He Who Remains says in Loki.
You think I'm evil? Well, this way. You would time.
It just sounds like all the Kangs are really just afraid of each other. While he was extremely animated, jumping in and out of his jet's chair, Major's performance as Kang the Conqueror is far more rigid, regal, with the actor described as no moves wasted. He tortures Scott and Cassie with just a flick of a finger, a gesture that he repeats consistently to swat them down and make commands throughout this movie. But throughout the film, you can see his rage simmering beneath the surface, rising and rising until it all just explodes in the final battle. Scott agrees to help Kang shrink the core.
It's a lot worse than He Who Remains.
Kang opens a portal to the site, and from here, Scott dives into the probability storm and begins splitting into variants, which Modok describes as Schrodinger's box, and Scott is a cat, referring to Erwin Schrodinger's thought experiment to describe the theoretical existence of a multiverse within an unobserved system. Schrodinger's cat was first referenced in the MCU.
Quantum physics reference.
For the Dark World, this concept was also described by Bill Foster in the 2018 film.
The object in question would be both in and out of phase with multiple parallel realities.
This core is essentially a far more advanced form of Tony Stark's quantum navigator that they used in the quantum realm in Endgame. It's just on a far more controlled scale and produced from a self-perpetuating energy source. It seems like inside this core is a kind of nexus hub for different multiversal realities to spawn from. The bands of this core have writing on them, a language based on circles, which you can see in other parts of the quantum realm. This might be a language that Kang uses and enforces throughout the realm. Now, one of Scott's variants is himself, if he never became an Avenger, instead of Baskin-Robbins. Off-screen, another one, if you listen closely, asks him for ice cream. When one of the Scotts sizes up, he unravels into ribbons, which looks a lot like what Wanda Maximoff did to Reed Richards.
Yeah, some similarities between what happened with Ant-Man and Reed Richards.
Some divine multiversal law that says when you stray too far from your hive of variants, you get, like, self-crewed out of existence. And from here, this scene is just smartly shot.
I still didn't like that scene from Multiverse of Madness, though.
But our Scott stays unhelmeted, which is both a practical way to follow him in the scene and a way of showing his courage and determination to save Cassie. But really, it's Cassie who saves Scott. All the Scotts, by uniting this whole hive behind their constant. And after shrinking the core back down, Kang meets the rest of the gang and tells Hope, "Hello, Jellybean." Jellybean was Janet's nickname for Hope. This is his creepy way of indicating that he knows her. Kang takes her, swats away Scott and Hope, and takes Janet back to his fortress, where he has this fascinating conversation with her. He projects the
it's like Kang has a way with the ladies.
starting with just a ring in his hand.
In a weird way, though.
Spreading across realities, universes colliding, endless incursions. I saw the multiverse, and it was dying, all because of them. He projects that one ring over another ring, with branches between the rings veering toward each other and colliding with little flashes. These represent incursions, and after these incursions happen, those branches stay there, just kind of sad, broken ends, showing how one of the universes won that incursion, the other one didn't, and left this ugly scar behind. Remember, when he remains first revealed the multiverse in his origin story, he depicted it as one ring floating atop another ring. So I love how this movie's really building on that visual language. And now we see how the sacred timeline's eruption upon Sylvie killing He Who Remains in the local finale affects another sacred timeline. That event, as well as Peter Parker and Doctor Strange's spell going awry, and Doctor Strange Quantum Maximum dreamwalking and Multiverse of Madness are all examples of these kind of incursions. Now, one by one, they represent a crack in the dam, leading to the overall death of the multiverse. What's interesting is, this Kang doesn't blame the Avengers for it. He looks down on the Avengers like they're helpless children who don't know what they're doing. Instead, he blames the other Kangs in the Dynasty for their childish meddling, childish behaviors beneath Kangs, and he views himself as the adult in the room, who believes that order is attained only by conquering, as he says, burning the broken world and building a new one. He says all the suffering will be worth it, defending himself saying, "I have lost. You have no idea what I've lost, and I will burn them out of time for what they've done to me." So think about this. When we see Kang in this movie vaporizing people, in his mind, he is burning them out of time, like cauterizing a wound, leaving a scar, sending a message with that scar. And yes, we are left with the mystery of what Kang lost. One theory is that he's doing all this to win back his long-lost love of Ravonna Renslayer. I don't know. Based on Kang later pummeling Scott after Scott decided to leave his daughter behind and instead entomb himself with Kang, I have to wonder if Kang might himself have a daughter we don't know about. I don't know, maybe Ravonna's actually his daughter, and Miss Minutes is his daughter's soul. I don't know, my mind is running away with it. Hank meanwhile was saved by his ant farm. The ants time dilated 1,000 years in a single day, meaning they must have slipped into a time vortex. And in that time, they built a socialistic technocratic society. I think we always forget that the best parts of these Ant-Man movies are the ants. These ants neutralize Kang's advantage of technology hundreds of years in the future because Kang's chosen system of governance is an archaic military dictatorship. He doesn't know how to play with others. Kang mobilizes his fortress to depart the quantum realm with his entire army. He declares, "Today we conquer eternity and the dynasty of Kangs," before Cassie cuts him off. But conquer eternity? Interesting choice of words, considering the character of Eternity, as in Thor Love and Thunder, did have a physical form in the MCU, and we're not exactly sure where Eternity is after it seemed to transform into Mistress Love. There may not be an Eternity to conquer, which is an interesting concept, because Jonathan Majors partially based his character on Alexander the Great. What did they say about Alexander the Great? Alexander wept, for there were no worlds left to conquer. And yes, of course, Kang also mentions his dynasty, whom we meet in the post-credit scene, and will be the Kangs the Avengers have to face in Avengers Kang Dynasty in 2025. Giant Scott attacks Kang's fortress. This is the largest he has grown yet. In the 2018 film, he bragged to Bill Foster that his record then was 65 feet, or 19.8 meters, which is roughly how big he gets in the San Francisco Bay. In Avengers Endgame, that wide shot of all the portals opening up, Giant Scott, when you compare his height to a nearby human, Giant Scott is roughly 19 times as tall as that human, and if you were to put that human at 6 feet, because those look like the Wakandans, you know, they're pretty tall, that would make Giant Scott in Endgame around 114 feet tall, or 37.4 meters. But now, based on this one shot where Giant Scott stomps on the quantum knots, those quantum knots, I would say, are about 25% of the scale of that human next to his foot in Endgame, which means that makes sense. Here must be around at least 4 times taller than he was in Endgame, well over 450 feet tall now, or over 137 meters. Our man is roughly the height of a small skyscraper. And when Scott stomps on Kang's forces, it does mirror how Kang will later stomp on his helmet, as if, of course, trying to crush an ant. Scott picks up a disc-shaped piece of a building and uses it as a shield that he later wedges into Kang's rings, much like his hero Captain America would, bringing him full circle with his reference that was ship on Team Cap. He cannonballs into the rings and breaks them. Now, think about this. Kang could have used that multiverse core to power his ship chair alone and escape the quantum realm without going to all this trouble. The reason he fails, really, is because he got greedy. He wanted to bring his entire fortress, his entire fleet with him to wage war on all the Kangs. Because he insisted on bringing all the stuff with him, he gave Scott and the others enough time to stop him. Though in fairness to Kang, you could argue that he felt that he needed all this backup because the moment he escaped from the quantum realm, he'd have the full might of the Kang Dynasty on him. This is all a way of saying it's hard being Kang. We get this little moment where Giant Scott celebrates
Right.
Giant Cassie, and what I love about the shot is that it was likely one of the easier VFX shots to do, since both actors are the same size. But I do like how they slowed down their speech and their movement just a little bit, but either way, father and daughter are finally on the same level. They're finally talking slow enough to listen to and understand each other. Cassie says she's hungry and craves a lime, to which Scott says, yeah, citrus, it's weird. This calls back the running joke of Scott always wanting
Be
orange
Shaquille
slices
O'Neal with their
before he
heights
goes big.
too.
Does anyone have any orange slices?
Scott even had
Orange
orange slices ready
slices.
to go, but Hawkeye came back for the baseball glove trial in Avengers Endgame. And so Kang, finally allowing his rage to boil over, floats down to the battle on a disc and vaporizes everyone in sight. I love how his neurokinetic armor automatically shifts up his arm and over his shoulders to just get out of the way and give his arms greater flexibility. The Freedom Fighters, despite making some gains when Bev used his holes to Kirby some quantum knots, Kang repels them. He kills Zalem, and Jintor is forced to retreat, and we briefly see one of the sentient buildings holding the other as it dies in its arms. But facing down Kang is Scott, Hope, and Cassie, where Cassie finally masters a jump tap, and Scott grows large enough to slam Kang against a wall, saying, "You son of a," before Kang blasts him off. Remember, Kang, Nathaniel Richards, is the son of a bloodline that traces back to
Reed Richards.
Fantastic. So Kang might have cut off Scott's sentence to avoid having to think about his lineage. But ultimately, Hank's ants save the day. Swarming Kang, and Darren takes Cassie's advice to stop being a dick. Love the look of disgust and anger Kang gives MODOK in his bumble. This is the conqueror who hates being betrayed. And MODOK turns Kang's shield from Kang's color, blue, to MODOK's color, fuchsia, allowing the ants to pick apart Kang's armor and carry him away. They watch MODOK die, his heart rate monitor turning red and flatlining. Janet uses the quantum core to open a portal home,
At
but
least I
Scott
died in
notices
Avengers.
Kang approaching and pushes Cassie in order to stay behind and fight Kang just to keep him in the quantum realm. Now, think about this. It's not really explained how Kang got away from the ants, but now I'm pretty worried about the ants, and even more impressed with Kang for defeating an advanced technocratic society with the willpower of one conqueror. I don't know, maybe he made side deals with some of the top ant lieutenants to turn
Lieutenants.
or maybe brainwash them with some fascist talking points and socialism.
Ah, the Ants movie.
I'm impressed. Kang and Scott fight one-on-one.
Ants movie reference.
Like it when an epic third act battle boils down to just a simple fist
Ah,
fight or sword duel. Kang's
Karate
armor
Kid, Cobra Kai.
to expose his arm, Jonathan Majors gets to show off some of that physique and come off like a physically imposing force. Scott is outmatched, but he's able to hang in there because he's not trying to win.
I don't have to win. We both just have to lose.
Hope returns and helps Scott destroy the core with red and blue pin particles, creating a vortex, pushing Kang into that vortex, and shrinking him out of sight. We gotta assume he's not dead because Darren Cross went through the same process.
Right.
Realistically, Kang's probably stuck in an endless probability storm down there, where, unlike Scott, it's gonna be really hard for Kang to cooperate with his variants. So when he does figure it out, look out, we got Secret Wars coming. Meanwhile,
Yeah.
Cassie uses her quantum realm telescope to locate the last known spot where the portal was and reopens it? I didn't know a communicator could do that, and I thought our communicator only portaled them in before because MODOK hijacked it. The logic's kind of fuzzy, but in my opinion, what saves it is that this film's epilogue doesn't really leave things all neatly tied up for Scott anyway. He remains haunted by the consequences of defeating Kang the Conqueror, fearing the Kang Dynasty now. A dynasty that is coming, based on the post-credit scene, introducing us to Ramatut and Mortis, thousands of other
Epic.
Kangs now on a mission to stop the Avengers from continuing to tamper with the multiverse. The second post-credit scene's even scarier in some ways, introducing us to Victor Timely, a Kang variant from 1901, who I explained in the post-credit scene might have inspired Howard Stark. But as he goes back through his routine, Scott's eyes seem to linger on people wearing the same shade of bright purple, with purple balloons at Cassie's party, a green cake, purple and green, the colors of Kang's armor. Yes, I know it sounds
Kang's
crazy,
armor,
but this is where
yeah.
Scott's brain is right now. He's paranoid. He's losing it. And there is a deeper significance to Scott's unresolved paranoia that I will explore in next week's Quantumania deep dive. But a few things to note about Scott's changed reality. On the wall by the sidewalk of his morning walk, there's now graffiti of an Ant-Man helmet with a heart around it. Happy Valentine's, Scott! And Ruben now knows his name. But still, there's a lingering creepiness to Scott going back through his loop of his life as if nothing has changed, like his life is an episode of a sitcom from which he cannot escape. He is the comedian sitcom star being welcome back, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back to a narrative loop written for before him by architects controlling every aspect of his life. Architects who are now thrilled that he did away with their pesky exile. And yes, I did break down this movie's post-credit scenes in another video. For everything else, I bet I brought it up in the Quantumania live stream that I did over on our new channel, The Deep Dive, which is now live with launch date videos.
Deep Dive's good too.
Please subscribe to it, and you can support our growing network by getting something at nerdriot.shop like this Rain Eternal shirt, or maybe something from the Deep Dive collection. And thanks to our friends at State Farm for sponsoring this breakdown. And I've been dying to do this all video. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Call or go to statefarm.com to get a quote today. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at EABoss. Follow New Rockstars and subscribe to New Rockstars for breakdowns of everything you love. Thanks for watching. Bye.
So with the Spider-Man theory, so what Mr. Rubin was talking about, the fact that he actually mistaken Scott Lang as Spider-Man, basically it was pretty much like, well, Peter Parker and Spider-Man of course are one and the same, but people don't know now that Spider-Man and Peter Parker are one and the same, especially after the events from Spider-Man No Way Home. So it's pretty much indicating that Spider-Man does exist, but nobody knows that Spider-Man and Peter Parker are one and the same. So, and the fact that Mr. Rubin got Scott's identity right by the end of the movie, that was pretty cool as well though. So, but other than that though, there's like a lot of time temperance, especially with what happened, especially with previously with what we just saw, especially with the end of the season of Loki as well. So a lot of variants of that. But still, the hype around this though, seeing all of the Kang's variants, the Council of Kang, Immortus, the Scarlet Centurion, Ramatot, that's just amazing. But like I said, it's definitely going to set up the Kang Dynasty, and the Avengers are definitely going to tackle them. So it's definitely going to be pretty much everything about like what type of Kangs we're definitely going to see. I know we're going to see Victor Timely in the second season of Loki, but we'll more than likely see other Kang variants as well though. But the important ones, especially the three that I just mentioned with Ramatot, the Scarlet Centurion, and Immortus, that's definitely going to be one of the main focal points too though. So, and since Fantastic Four is definitely going to be part of Phase 6 as well, between Phase 5 and Phase 6, they're probably going to more likely explore the lineage with Nathaniel Richards and Reed Richards at the same time as well, considering the fact that Nathaniel, his real name, well, Kang's real name is Nathaniel Richards. They're more than likely going to explore that. And then we could be getting Dr. Doom as well. Doom plays a heavy part in Secret Wars, and the Beyonder, Keanu Reeves, still want that to happen too. Gotta get that petition out there to pretty much have Keanu Reeves to play the Beyonder though. It's gonna be epic though, but they're slowly going to build it, and it's definitely going to be a lot of surprises too. But again, just seeing the minor characters, especially Kryglar, who was in the comics, was like a one-shot deal with the Incredible Hulk. It was pretty cool to see that too though. So, but like I said, we're more than likely to see the Freedom Fighters in the future as well though. So they're more likely going to play a part in the Kang saga, especially the Multiverse saga and the Kang Dynasty. So it's definitely going to be great. But like I said, guys, I'm definitely going to rewatch Ant-Man the Wasp Quantumania when it comes out on Disney Plus as well, because it's definitely amazing. And the end credit scenes, I know I'm more than likely going to be of the minority here, but honestly, I enjoyed the end credit scenes. It was definitely setting up. The geek in me basically enjoyed it, and Alan enjoyed it too though. So it's kind of like we're like the only geeks out there that are like marking out, knowing who they are, the Houses of Kang and everybody else, and everyone was looking at us like, what's going on? What? But other than that though, I mean, I don't really see the criticism about that as well, because like Kang isn't really just like a random guy. He's just basically a time traveling warlord, a conqueror. He wants to conquer all time. He wants to win. That's what it's all about. He's a maniacal villain that wants to win. And so there's other variants of Kang that are out there. Some of them are good, some of them are bad. But this one, he wants to conquer all the time though. So the reason why I'm in the minority is because like I've read the comics, I know about Kang, and my friend Alan does too. And like the geeks like us, we know about this kind of stuff, and this is the reason why people always ask us questions about like, hey, what happened over here, or what's going on over here, is because the fact of the matter is that Kang isn't just, you know, he's not really what you would call like a transactional character. He's not one-dimensional either. He's basically what you would say a conqueror who wants to conquer all the time, and that's his motive. He wants to win by any means necessary. And so just setting it up is definitely setting everything what's going to happen with the Kang Dynasty as well, though, because it's definitely letting you know as a viewer that Kang is something anybody to wrestle with as well, though. So, but again, there's like so many layers about Kang, and then they're more likely going to explore his relationship with Ravonna as well, because Ravonna is actually his love interest in the comics, and even the Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes animated series explores that as well, though. So we're more likely going to get all that into one. So that's more likely going to be explored in the future films, and I can't wait. So, but other than that, it's awesome. I can't wait to see it again. I'm definitely going to watch it. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing all the other MCU films, and of course, definitely getting ready to see Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars as well. Secret Wars is coming out in another 2 years. Well, 3 years for sure, but the Kang Dynasty will come out until 2025, so it's definitely going to be awesome for sure, so I can't wait. But anyway, guys, that's the Easter egg breakdown. What do you guys think? You guys, let me know if you guys saw Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. Let me know in the comments down below. What do you guys think? You guys have any questions about the characters or anything else? Just let me know in the comments down below. What do you guys think as far as like what the end credit scenes is like? But I love it. It was definitely the geek in me marked out when I saw the Kang variant. So the Council of Kangs, can't wait for the Kang Dynasty. It's definitely going to be epic, though. So, but thank you guys so much for your support. And also subscribe to the new Rockstars and Deep Dive as well. They're really great at what they do. So that's where I get all my information from. I get them from the Marvel database, of course. That's where I get all my information from. But new Rockstars, when it comes to their breakdowns, they're awesome. So they're awesome. Like Comic Pop and Comics Explain and The Real Rejects, all the other guys, though. So, but without further ado, you guys, thank y'all so much for everything. That's all I got for now. But for those of you who are new to my channel, thank y'all so much. And make sure you like this video, share this video, subscribe to my channel for more details, news, and other content. Thank y'all so much for everything, for the breakdowns as well. Excelsior, love each other, be good to each other. I'll catch y'all in the next one.